Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank y'all for watching. This is Justina Ford, the owner of Soulfully Aligned Coaching and Healing. And I'm here with Miss Heather Shriver Burns to talk with her about her experience coaching with me. This is her time to do a testimonial. I'm grateful that you're willing to do so. So we'll first start off and just ask, tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Yes, I am so honored to do this. I sing your praises to everybody. So yes, my name is Heather Shriver Burns, and I am a success coach for God-sized dreamers. So I help women who have big God-sized dreams figure out the plans that God has for them to get there.
Yes, I love that so much. And I remember the first time we had our first testimonial, we asked that same question, and you were still in that phase of like, God, how do I word this? How do I zone in on this? So I'm so excited to just hear that like roll off your tongue. I think that's amazing.
Me too. It took a long time. Yeah.
So yes, and I know that we did 2 rounds of coaching together. So I want to just relive. I know sometimes it's difficult to go backwards, and just relive that moment when you were like, you know what, I want to work with you again. What did you feel that you wanted to continue working on, and what were you hoping to get out of that?
Yeah, so interesting, because originally when I first come to you, I was in a very dark season. And once we were nearing the end of our 3 months, I felt like I was, I use this analogy of my word, for this year is bloom. And I use this analogy, I felt like I was buried, but then God was like, no, you're not buried. You were planted. And so even though toward the end of our 3 months, I was breathing and I felt like I popped out of the ground and I had a little bit more life, I just knew there was more work to be done. And so I felt like I could see the light. I just knew and felt and prayed and I just knew our work wasn't done. And so I felt like I could navigate this by myself, but I knew I would do much better having you as a partner to lock arms with and do it with.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm always grateful and honored to lock arms and partner with women, because you're right, you can go about it on your own, or you can find someone else. I'm sure there's other people that do similar work, but I guess let's go there. What about the work that I bring to the table do you feel is different or unique, and what made you want to continue on that path and continue partnering with me?
Yes, I think so much of it is trust. I had already trusted you with a really vulnerable space in my heart. And I saw progress, right? So I knew that you have something that I need, and connecting what, we obviously have God, but you connected pieces for me in a way that made sense to me. And I love you because I think we're similar in a lot of ways. Obviously, like attracts like, but you were able to give tough love when I needed it. And I can be a very strong person, like personality, but you did it in such a way where you sandwiched it. Like, you gave me the tough love that I needed. You checked me in ways that I'm like, yeah, she knows. And you saw things in me. It's so interesting, even what we say we don't recognize, but you recognize things. And I love that, because even now it makes me more conscious of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. And I just love your coaching style, your mentor, your teach. All of it just worked. It worked really well with my personality. And yeah, you were made for me.
Yeah. So if there's a woman in her business right now and she's struggling and she's wanting to experience, say, her next level of success, or she's wanting to break through from, the blocks and the mental hurdles and all that kind of stuff, what would your advice be to her?
Hire you. I mean, no, and I know that sounds so simple, but yeah, invest in yourself. And it's so, again, as a driven, entrepreneurial minded person, and maybe you do already have the success, it wasn't that I had multiple businesses, but you helped me navigate and clean out some things and get rid of things and really create a new space to be able to do really more of what God he's had prepared for me all along. I just needed to clear the space out to allow him to do that. And I think so much of us are living, whether it's comfortable or there's so much more. And I think there's a lot of work that you need to do in order to create a space that allows God to fill you with the more. And so that's really what I think a lot of our work was. I could have stayed where I was, even because I had seen so much progress in our first 3 months. It was literally life-changing. And, I'm forever grateful for you. But it's really just taking it that step further. If you're looking to go that, there's even more that God wants you to do, then I think working with you helps navigate through that.
Yes. And how would you describe the results of our second term?
Oh man. There's so many ways. Oh gosh. Minus the emotional, I think, again, when we're not emotionally healthy and spiritually healthy and mentally healthy, it affects every area of our life, whether we're mothers or wives or business owners, all the things. And so in general, I am a more joyful person, which is great. And then success-wise in business, we actually just were commenting and chatting yesterday because I felt like, again, a whole buried season, and God just was doing a work in me. And so I knew that he was preparing me for what he had prepared for me. And so part of that was launching a coaching program, kind of reopening myself up to services that I had been offering kind of behind the scenes, but very quiet. And I really wasn't in the state of mind and the emotional place to offer it boldly and confidently. And so I opened myself up basically for business, about 4 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And God has just done amazing things. I hit a goal that I wanted to. I filled every spot for my group coaching program, and I am still working on the other part, the one-on-one coaching program that I have. And ironic enough, someone just reached out to me this morning, so I'll have to share that with you later. But I feel like I now have this space to do what I've wanted to do, and I mean, God's just filling it. I can't explain it another way. Yeah, I hope that
exactly. Yes, no, I love it, because a lot of times when people sign up, I'll say this: when my clients come to me, they don't come to me and say, "Oh, I want 10K months. Oh, can you help me, close 5-figure sales? And can you help me do this and do that?" That's not why people come to me. But right. A lot of times the results look like that, Amen. Which is so beautiful. When I love it. So I love that this is really about, and it says it right on my website, open yourself to receive what God already has for you, right? Yeah. So a lot of this is stuff that was already stored up, already waiting on you. And it's a matter of the mind and the spirit and your thought process and the healing, all of that kind of like just lining up and opening you for that. So I love that. I'm just so honored. I love it every time that a client comes to me and they trust me enough to help them navigate through that process. And that was one of the words you said earlier. You were like, it was trust. So it really does. It really does require you trusting the process, trusting that person to carry you. Was there ever a time where you were worried or scared during our process?
No, I know there were a couple times. I mean, we're women, so we're naturally emotional, right? I mean, there were a couple times where I kind of braced myself where I know this is going to be an intense session. Like, I'm not going to put on mascara, I'm coming to you kind of looking. And it's funny, even our first probably 3 months, what I looked like for our one-on-one calls. And then slowly I started doing I was like, oh, I'm alive now. I've got my hair done. I'm putting on makeup. Again, I feel like it's this coming alive, this blooming into what God has really created me for. But I never felt scared. I was even really able to be really vulnerable with you and just lay it out there. But I knew you were going to help me navigate those feelings, because we have feelings, and that's okay to have feelings, but it's getting them in alignment with what God says. And so something that I've been saying so much lately is get out of your feelings and get into the Bible, like get into what God says. And that's something that you're so good at. You honored my feelings. And I knew you were never going to shame me for how I felt, but you were going to allow me to assess those feelings and connect it to what God says. And that is the answer to everything.
Yes. So I'm always say for people, I'm like, don't come to me because like you have this like, oh, I want to just hit this or hit that. It's like, no, it has to be a deeper layer of work.
Yes.
You have to want to come and work at a soul level with me
And
for
it is deep
sure.
work. But, you know, the verse that comes to mind is seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all these things will be added unto you. And that is exactly what our work was. We weren't really focused on business, even though you offer that. And I knew there was so much more that had to be done, even in order, because what I could have done was muddled my way through business. And, you know, me resting was so hard. I fought God. I wrestled God on the resting, you know, and once I finally leaned into it, and you encouraged me, just lean into that. Like, he's calling you here for a reason, and you helped me, you know, through those emotions of I'm used to go, go, go and striving. Like, literally, I lived my entire life mostly striving, and you got me into this season of abiding. And what's cool about that is abiding 3 months ago looked one way. And I think, you know, you helped me be obedient in that. But abiding right now looks so different. And I did have the 5-figure launch month. You know what I mean? So that in and of itself is crazy. But I really haven't, I'm not living in stress and chaos like I was, even though before you, I had success. I had a lot of success in business, but I was just living in chaos. And stressing, and I was striving instead of this whole idea of, you know, the holy hustle, the grace over grind, you know, all the, you know, we know some of those books and studies, and but really it's abiding first, seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then, and literally it's just like everything is just blooming because we've taken care of the roots, the soil, the foundation.
Exactly. I love that verse. It's like one of my favorite ones. I think it might have been like our last two sessions or a session and a half where we actually looked at strategy. I think
Yeah.
it was like pricing strategy and
Yes.
packaging and all of
Yes.
that. How was that experience for
Oh
you?
man. Well, I even called you out on it. I said, you love this stuff, don't you? I mean, you were like, you were just like giving me all the details. And I do think, so my transition was where I've had this business, but I really played it very, very softly. Didn't promote it. Didn't, you know, I had another business that was my main focus, and I would help people in coaching when they came to me. But then positioning myself in a place where I know God's calling me is like, this is where I'm supposed to be focusing all of my time. There are questions. How much? What should my packaging look like? How should I, you know, whether you're doing these discovery calls, it is so nice. And it was such a blessing to have you to bounce the ideas off of, to ask your advice, to kind of check, hey, am I doing this right? Because it's all new waters. And when you're navigating these new waters, you just want somebody who's done it, you know, who's a few steps ahead of you, and who obviously has success. And, you know, I trust you, all the things. So it was great to have that confidant and that in that piece. And it's funny, like you said, what people come to you for is probably not what they end up getting. I feel like what I came to you for was a lot of the spiritual healing and the emotional and from the trauma. But I feel like I got all that, and then I've got all this other. You're like the whole package. I mean, you know, you can do everything, and that's the other thing I love, that you're spirit led. So it's not really necessarily a one size fits all. You met me where I was, and then you walked with me to get me to now where I am. And I feel like that's what I'm doing. I'm flourishing. I'm blooming.
I love that so much. And I always tell people this, and they probably think I'm crazy. I'm like, the strategy part is easy. The strategies are easy. They're all out there. They're floating around on social media. I'm like a researcher. I can like follow and track a person's strategy, you know, like I can pull that out. The hard part is the mindset. The hard part is about being in alignment with that thing. So I love that you opened yourself to take that time to like go there and just go deep and allow that healing, the inner healing to take place, the shifting of the mindset. Something that I was on a training the other day, just yesterday, because I'm like, okay, gosh, I know I do this Christian energy healing work, but I need to like start quantifying some of this stuff so people actually get it, right? And there's the vagus nerve that when we're doing that tapping, the vagus nerve actually starts to calm itself down, and it allows you to actually function like your body like calms down and says, I'm safe to do this work. I'm safe to move forward. So I
Yes.
feel like that was a lot of our process also, like with the energy healing work, to be able to calm that nerve, for you to say, you know what, I'm safe. I know I went through all of these things before. There are these people that may have opinions about this or that, but who cares? I can move forward. I watched your language just shift like almost overnight. I have goosebumps talking about it, because then I started asking myself, like, okay, God, I know that happens, but what physically in the body makes that happen? How did you design us for these things to take place? And that training I was on last night actually spoke deeper on that. I was like, yes, I got to share that. The next time I get to talk about this, I'm going to share that piece about the vagus nerve, which is so crazy. But
even putting it the way you put it, if you think about, we worked for 5.5 months on the emotional stuff. We didn't even really bring up the strategy for what I was going to do until literally like the last 2 weeks. And then what came of it was, and like you said, it should be, the strategy is really easy, especially when you're walking in what God's plans for you are. And then when you know that, you're not fighting against, yes, we're fighting against the outside, but like if staying close to him, he wants it to be relatively seamless, like easy. And it's not, there's things with business, and there's obviously, but when our mindset's right, we can just flow. Like, and that's another word that I feel like working with you has allowed me to flow in what God has called me to do, instead of fighting it or getting off track. It's just, I feel like I'm just in flow with what he's calling me to do.
Yes, I love that so much. And so, is there anything else? I won't keep us too long, but is there anything else?
I can talk.
Yes, me too. But is there anything else that you would want to share with the listeners, people that are maybe on the fence about if they want to work with me or not, or they're wondering, can she really help me? Anything that you want to share to encourage them?
Oh, call me. There's not enough time to put into words. Oh, I'm not going to cry. I was like, oh, I don't need a tissue. There's really not, even if we wouldn't get to the strategy part that we did, it was just a bonus for me, and it's kind of a launching pad that's taken me to where I am. The work that we did, when I say life-changing, I know a lot of people use that but it truly, it changed my insides to be able to continue to take that next step. I don't know where you are and where you are in your life. Maybe you don't have the trauma that you're working through, but you just know that like you're made for more, and there's something blocking you. There's just something. Justina really works with you to figure out what that thing is, and then how you go around it or over it or under it or crash it, knock it down, whatever it is you need to do to get to the next step. You're worth it. Because it is an investment, right? Investing in ourselves is the scariest thing. And as a coach, I often use this. There's nothing really tangible that I'm walking away from. Like, I don't have a trophy, but from working with you, but oh my gosh, where I'm at now compared to where I was 6 months ago is so transformational. I am like the butterfly. I came to you even wounded in that, cocoon or the whatever. You can see it on my face. I'm truly inside. Like, what's coming out is natural, and it's so good. So my advice to you is that the inside of your brain is probably telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't, but I'm telling you that you are worth it, and your God-sized dreams are worth it. And you couldn't trust a better person to help you take you to that next step.
Yes.
We'll be forever friends.
Well, thank you so much. I'll tell you this, like, even as I do this work, it's always a part of me that has to like open myself to receive what my clients are saying about me, so I'm over here like, okay, receive. You're
very humble. I think a lot of times, because this is a gift for you, it's something God gifted you with, and sometimes we don't even realize how incredible that gift is. But I know I shout you out all the time. I'm like, and you're so humble. And that's the other thing. You're always very humble, but the work you do is needed. I think more women need it, and I will shout you out forever.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, you guys. This was Heather Shriver Burns, and the name of your business?
Well, it's Heather Shriver Burns, but
Heather Shriver Burns.
Yeah, my website's actually under construction because we are rebranding and doing all the things right now. But it's
And you have an awesome tagline that you say all the time, don't you?
as far as the success coach for God-sized dreamers.
Yes.
Yes. I didn't know what
And bloom, all that good stuff.
yes, blooming over here.
Yes.
Moving into what God's what designing you to be.
Yes. So thank you so much for your time and just taking the time to showcase, what the work was like and how transformative it was. And I absolutely appreciate it. So we'll say bye to everyone.